more self-reliant and cut out the U.S. In the future. So this is certainly something that the president, the Trump administration, they're going to have to walk a very fine line here. But there remain a lot of unanswered questions about what they're going to be able to announce in terms of any investment, perhaps later on today or into tomorrow. Senior administration officials have said that one of their goals here is to talk about rebalancing the relationship between China and the U.S. Could there potentially be some sort of board of investment, a board of trade that the two countries agree on moving forward? So a lot of political observers don't expect any grand bargain here from the two leaders. This might just be perhaps a framework for future trade with China. But we've come a long way, Tom, from where the U.S. and China relationship was last year with President Trump imposing those sky-high tariffs. There's been a very fragile truce when it comes to trade since then. But coming out of this high-stakes meeting, where does it go from here? And what does the U.S. accept as a victory here, given this very fragile trade truce that is that has been in effect since last year? But yeah, Tom, you're right. A lot of questions about the future of EV. I know you have said, and I know you were at a car dealership earlier this week, where there has been an incredible, it's remarkable to see some of these EVs produced here in China that can sell for as low as the equivalent of $12,000. If those were to ever make it to the U.S. market, what would happen to U.S. car makers? And could it be a situation where U.S. car makers are face their own issues if Chinese EVs were ever break into that market?
Gabe, we thank you for that. I want to go straight to NBC News' international correspondent Janice Mackey-Freyer. She lives here in Beijing with her family. She covers China for us. Janice, give our viewers a little bit of a perspective and history of where this is taking place right now.
Well, this is happening at the Great Hall of the People, which is on the western side of Tiananmen Square, the Forbidden City in the background with the portrait of Chairman Mao. The place that you see in historical pictures on television, it really is a storied place, and this has been quite a welcome reception for President Trump that China's Xi Jinping has coordinated. You'll recall that President Trump had been quite envious of President Xi's military parade last September. He made some comments about how beautiful it was, and it seems that President Xi has organized a small version of it as a symbol of how important and pivotal this summit could be. Pivotal for a global economy that is going through conflict and trade tension. Both sides will be aware of the optics of this summit as they both look to come out looking strong, both wanting to come out with some headlines, and for Xi Jinping in particular, wanting to ensure that there is some stability for China in its relationship with the United States.
Janice, anything else you've noticed? You've watched a lot of these, you've seen a lot of presidents do these. Is there anything you're noticing that is unique about this ceremony so far?
Well, when President Trump visited back in 2017, it was billed as a state visit plus. They really pulled out all the stops. So in the preparation for this summit, which was of course delayed by the Iran war, there was the sense that somehow China had to offer something that was almost as good, something different. We're going to see them inside the Great Hall of the People in some of the ornate meeting rooms there. In a few hours, Presidents Trump and Xi will take a private tour of the Temple of Heaven. There will be a state banquet later. There will be tea and lunch tomorrow at Zhongnanhai. That is the residence of President Xi, as well as many of the senior Politburo officials, standing committee officials. What we're seeing is the attention to detail that China puts into everything, and people will be looking at what they eat, what they drink, the colors of their ties, who clinks glasses with whom, as indications of the kind of negotiations and discussions that are happening behind closed doors. But we have to bear in mind, and you mentioned this earlier, Tom, this is a much different China that President Trump is visiting. over 2017. On the way in from the airport last night, he would have seen the superhighways, the infrastructure, the tall buildings, the glitz, the sense that China is now a very prosperous place. And also that globally the mood has shifted and China is now seeing its influence extended, and Xi Jinping wanting to present himself as a global statesman and as China as this oasis of stability in a world of chaos.
Janice, we were seeing President Xi there look to be somewhat jovial, smiling and almost laughing with President Trump. Is that something you see a lot? Because I'm just thinking back on a lot of the footage we see of China's leader, and it's usually pretty stern.
Well, President Trump has talked often about his friendship with Xi Jinping. He talks about him being a gentleman, says that he loves his country, and there does appear to be a good relationship between the two men. That said, they are still competitors, and they're going to be addressing some very thorny issues in these negotiations. Trade tensions, rare earths, critical minerals, tariffs, technology, Taiwan, all of these issues that have long been flashpoints in the U.S. China relationship. For Xi Jinping, he's probably looking less for friendship out of this than to have some sort of stability, to be able to manage tensions in the relationship in the longer term to give some traction for the Chinese economy. But we will see him being a gracious host. The sort of events and activities that they have planned for this two-day visit are a notch above what you would see for a lot of visiting heads of state. There's been a lot of hype as well. People on social media are posting videos of the plane arriving last night, of the motorcade going through the city. Traffic is being brought to a standstill so that it's a smooth ride wherever they go. Even we had to adjust last minute, Tom. About 30 minutes before we went on the air, we had a visit from authorities saying that we couldn't stand on our balcony all day, so which is why we've shifted slightly indoors. So really a lot of attention is going into every aspect of this visit to make it memorable.
Thank you. I want to see if we can get to Garrett Hake. He might be scrambling. I see a lot of press running out to enter the Great Hall. Garrett, if you're still with us, if you're still out there, what are you seeing?
Tom, the ceremony here on the Great Hall, or on the sort of steps of the Great Hall, is wrapped up. The delegations have gone inside. The bands are clearing out. The school children here are being congratulated by their teachers for a job well done. I just want to dovetail with what Janice was saying to say that all of what you saw.
We're seeing Secretary Besson right now speaking with the ambassador, David Perdue from the ambassador here in China, who is one of the most important playmakers, right, in all of this. The person who has to live here in Beijing, deal with the relationship, the back and forth, and
there you see it.
And here we
President Xi walking into the room. There, President Trump as well. And yes, you said Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is huge in this in how this is all playing out. Also, the Trade Representative Jameson Greer. You'll remember, last year both were so instrumental.
We should tell our viewers real quick because they might be getting some nausea. This is a pull feed. Unclear who's behind the camera right now, but they're trying to set their camera up right now, get on a tripod hopefully,
right,
and establish a shot, which it looks like they're about to.
That's right, and then Tom, we should point out, just to pull back the curtain a little bit, this is just a traveling pool of reporters. They are shuffled in there very quickly to try and get this picture. They are scrambling as quickly as they can to get in place, and then at the battle, all the communications issues, that we might see some breakup in the picture. But
it looks like they're putting in their earpieces for the real-time translations as they speak to the Chinese. And interesting who President Trump has next to him, right? The ambassador on one side and Secretary of State Marco Rubio on the other?
Yeah, certainly. Look, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, as you know, Tom, wears many hats these days. He's not only Secretary of State, he's also the National Security Advisor, in addition to several other roles in this administration. And yes, it is very interesting to see how they're all laid out, those top members of the Trump administration.
Let's listen in, Gabe. I think we're going to be able to get some audio. Let's listen.
现在可以说是举世瞩目。当前百年变局加速演进，国际形势是变乱交织， 世界走到新的十字路口。中美两国能不能跨越所谓的修昔底德陷阱，开创大国关系的新范式？能不能携手应对全球挑战，为世界注入更多的稳定性？能不能张扬两国人民的福祉和人类前途命运，共同开创两国关系的美好未来？这些可以说是历史之问、世界之问、人民之问，也是我同您作为大国领导人需要共同书写的时代答卷。今年是美国独立250周年，我向你和美国人民表示祝贺。
And to
我
the
始
American
终认
people,
为，中美之间的共同利益
that our two countries have more common interests than
中美
differences.
各自成功是彼此的机遇，
Success in one
中
is
美
an
关系稳
opportunity
定
for the other,
是世界的利好，
and a stable bilateral relationship is good for the world.
斗智俱伤，
China and the United States both stand to gain from cooperation and lose from confrontation. We should be partners, not rivals. We should help each other succeed and prosper together, and find the right way for major countries to get along well with each other in the new era.
我期待着同总统先生
Mr. President, I look forward to our discussions on major issues important to our two countries and the world,
共同为中美
and
关
working
系
together with you
领导航
to set the course for and steer the giant ship of China-U.S. relations,
2026年
so as to make 2026
成为中美关系继往开来
a
的
historic landmark year that opens up a new chapter in China-U.S. relations.
我就先说
I will pause here and hand over to you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Well, President Xi, I want to thank you very much. First of all, that was an honor like few I've ever seen before. And I think I was particularly impressed by those children. They were happy. They were beautiful. The military is obvious. It couldn't be better, but those children were amazing, and they represent so much. And I know they represent so much to you. You and I have known each other now for a long time. In fact, the longest relationship of our two countries that any president and president has had. And that's, to me, an honor. We've had a fantastic relationship. We've gotten along. When there were difficulties, we worked it out. I would call you, and you would call me. And whenever we had a problem, people don't know, whenever we had a problem, we worked it out very quickly. We're going to have a fantastic future together. Such respect for China, the job you've done. You're a great leader. I say it to everybody, you're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I only say the truth. And I just want to say, on behalf of all of the great delegation that we have the greatest businessmen, the biggest, and I guess the best in the world. We have amazing people, and they're all with me. Every single one of them, we asked the top 30 in the world, every single one of them said yes. And I didn't want the second or the third in the company. I wanted only the top. And they're here today to pay respects to you and to China. And they look forward to trade and doing business. And it's going to be totally reciprocal on our behalf. So I really look very much forward to our discussion. It's a big discussion. There are those that say this is maybe the biggest summit ever. They can never remember anything like it. I can say in the United States, people aren't talking about anything else. But it's an honor to be with you. It's an honor to be your friend. And the relationship between China and the USA is going to be better than ever before. Thank you very much. Thank you.